This is the Texas A&M Spring Game, presented by Regions Bank. The Aggies taking the field for the first time in 3 years. For the maroon and white game, it's back. And it's a big season coming up for Texas A&M football. Hello, everybody. I'm Chris Cotter, along with 1989 Heisman Trophy winner Andre Ware. And Andre, we mentioned it's a big season for A&M football. They're coming off consecutive 8 and 5 years now. Elsewhere in college football, that might be reason to celebrate. Not here in Aggieland, though. Expectations are a little bit elevated, aren't they?
Yeah, this fan base, when they signed up and all of a sudden the facilities started to expand, recruiting, top 15 recruiting classes each and every year. And now it's time for SEC championships. It's time to at least compete for the SEC West. That hasn't happened to this point at Texas A&M, and this is a huge season for the A&M Aggies.
Well, we've had turnover with players transferring in and out of the program. Also, new coaches. When you talk about Noel Mazzoni, after a very successful 4-year stint coaching under Jim Moore's staff out there at UCLA, he's back here as the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, spread offense, but he likes to feature the run. In most spread offenses that go fast, you're going to throw the ball around a lot. Noel Mazzoni's usually at the top of each conference that he's coached in rushing.
And as always, the trigger man is going to be a big focus today. New quarterback for 2016 for A&M is going to be either Jake Hubenak or Trevor Knight.
Yeah, a lot of experience and comes with Trevor Knight. Has started 15 games in his career. Did the one start that Jake Hubenak had against Louisville last year. Came on strong at the end of that game. It's been a great competition. I had to choose right now if I'm actually seeing what I'm seeing. I think Trevor Knight, they were playing a football game today. Trevor Knight looks the part.
The third member of our broadcasting crew is Casey Smith. She's down on the field with Coach Sumlin. Casey?
Well, thanks, Chris. Coach, you've had a little bit of a quarterback battle throughout this spring. Who's going to get the start today?
Well, it depends on which way we go here. So one guy's going one way, the other guy's going that way. Probably Trevor coming this way.
So the first spring game in 3 years back inside the newly renovated Kyle Field. What do you want to see today?
We want to stay healthy, number one. We've had a lot of great practices. And, both quarterbacks are going to get work with the ones and twos. We'll go ones on ones, twos on twos. But really, for some of the guys who haven't done a lot, they're going to get a bunch of work. But for the Miles and then Day-Day and those kind of guys, we'll get them in, get them some work, and get them out.
I know you've got something fun planned on the opening kickoff. What are we about to see?
Oh, this is the 12th man kickoff and kickoff return. This is comprised of all walk-ons. And so this is the whoever does the best out of these two opening live kickoffs in the first half and the second half will be the leader in the clubhouse to be the 12th man next year and replace Sam Miller.
Well, we're looking forward to it, Coach. Have a good day.
All right, thank you.
Well, the 12th man, very important part of this Texas A&M football tradition here. And as we heard from Coach Sam Miller, did such a great job as that walk-on 12th man on kickoff team, and they've got to find a replacement for him this year.
Wore that number 3 years, Chris. Was big on special teams for Texas A&M.
And we are underway. The maroon and white game is back.
That's a pretty good start
Kwame
right there.
Edway with the return, and he gets knocked down right at the 17-yard line. 11 yards on that return. Trevor Knight going to get the start. And it's really a battle, as we mentioned at the open, Andre, between Trevor Knight, the graduate transfer from Oklahoma, and Jake Hubenak. He was a big-time recruit coming out of Reagan High School in San Antonio, but decided to go with the Sooners. Didn't quite work out there.
Yeah, 15 starts under his belt at Oklahoma. Lost his job a year ago. He's very athletic, big-time arm. He can spin the football. Watching him at practice a couple of days ago, boy, very impressed with him physically and the way he gets the ball out.
And he has been, if you go talk to the coaches and his teammates, very impressive in terms of his leadership. Back to pass with the pump first, gets it out of his hands. Out to Christian Kirk, can't make the catch. So it'll be 2nd down and 10.
I'll tell you what, you don't see many of those from Christian Kirk. He had an outstanding freshman year with 80 receptions a year ago, went over 1,000 yards.
You know, as you mentioned, too, Noel Mazzoni brings an offense who likes to run the football and establishes it. Right off the bat, Kwame Edway, or James White, I should say, gets the carry and rattles off about 13 yards for a first down. Now, James White hurt his ankle last year and really wasn't able to play much of the year. Was never 100%, but they really like the way he runs with power.
Yeah, and Eric McCoy, a nice block right in the middle of that formation. James White, more the physical back. We're gonna see 5 of them today. He's the larger of the group.
The fake to James White, tries to get it out to Ricky Seals-Jones, can't make the completion.
Like Trevor Knight and the way he kind of goes about his business, showed instant leadership from day one. You talk to everybody around this program, the strength coach Larry Jackson, this really took over and kind of the alpha male of this group of quarterbacks.
Getting in the gun, he's got James White in the backfield. Short completion over the middle, gain of about 4 or 5 yards. Otaro Alaka on the stop. Speedy Noyle makes the catch.
Yeah, a lot of success, Chris, is going to be those 5 guys up front. How fast can they gel together? 3 new starters that they're going to have to replace this year. Eric McCoy, we called his name already. He's going to have to fill in there at center, a first-year starter, and up to a pretty good spring game here.
Really, when you look at this, Avery Genesee at left tackle started every game last year. Other than that, you've got Keaton Sutherland, who's out for this game. He has some experience from last year, but as you mentioned, other than that, you're really rebuilding on that offensive line. Faking over the left side, Speedy Noyle again makes the catch, off and running. He's going to get a big gain before finally being pushed out of bounds. That's about 25 yards downfield.
Nice job by Speedy Noyle. You see the athletic gifts that he possesses. Just got to keep him on the field. He's got to keep his head on away from the program when he's not around football and do the right things off the field so that we can see plays like that when Speedy Noyle's in uniform.
We also saw Myles Garrett with the tackle. He makes a lot of plays downfield because of that speed. Fumbles the football. Fumble on the exchange between James White and Trevor Knight. White did fall on it, so it'll be 2nd and 13.
Have you seen a guy like Myles Garrett? He doesn't get there as a pass rusher, but then turns and makes a play down the field. And then you look at him, his physical development over the last couple of years. As a true freshman, 13 sacks, was just a long, stringy guy.
Yeah. This
year, he is a different dude.
59 tackles last year, and many of them chasing ball carriers down from behind. Empty backfield, almost picked off, and it is picked off. Going the other way, and they'll whistle the play dead. That looked like Amani Watts, the safety, with the interception.
Looked like it may have been off a deflection, but still a nice heads-up play by Amani Watts, who had an interception last year, a couple of pass breakups. You see here, Trevor Knight thrown way out in front, a little miscommunication by he and Ricky Seals-Jones.
Amani Watts getting the deflection, the tackling machine Amani Watts at that safety position last year, which isn't necessarily a good thing when you're talking about making tackles 10, 15 yards downfield.
Yeah, we talked about it. Their top 4 tacklers, from a year ago, Amani Watts being at one of those, was either the 3rd level of the defense or the 2nd level being linebackers. And you're making a living doing that. That means you are giving up some big plays.
So the white team, they get points on defense because they're going to be the defense the entire game. 3 points now for the turnover, so they take the lead. Trevor Knight's still in at quarterback, and he hands it off to Kwame Etwe in the middle, and Etwe might be able to squeeze, maybe just getting back to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, Etwe, a walk-on who at Conroe, Texas, Oak Ridge High School, has looked and played well this spring. A lot of competition going on at that running back spot with James White. Travion Williams, a true freshman who enrolled here early in January.
Should mention that Keith Ford, the transfer from Oklahoma, sat out last year. Has a bum ankle. He had a very good spring, the coaches said, but he won't be able to play in this game. Holding him out as much for precaution as anything else. Etwe again getting the carry, and again, he's going to get stopped right at the line of scrimmage. And Claude George, the middle linebacker, with the stop there. Let's take another look at the running backs here. We mentioned Keith Ford. They really like what he brings, a physicality to it, but he'll be out for this game. So James White, a bigger back, and then Travion Williams, freshman. They say, hey, should be going to prom right now because he enrolled early, one of 3 members of this team in this game that enrolled early, but he's shown him a lot of flash.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with White and Ford, more the physical backs, and a change of pace with Etwe and Williams, along with Bussey as well.
Now this right here is what he can do on the run. Finds Etwe, and Etwe finds a little bit of space along the right side. He's going to get about 17 yards on that carry. Trevor Knight finds a way to get out of the pocket and make a play.
Boy, he is more mobile than you give him credit for. They list him at 6'1". He looks a little bit larger than that to me, but right here, stepping up in the pocket, and then a nice little flip to Etwe in space, and he knows exactly what to do with the football.
4 wideouts. Etwe still in the backfield, finding Frank Ihenacho, and he gets about 4 or 5 yards. This is one of those many big wide receivers they have. They have a slew of guys that are 6'4" to 6'6".
They really like him. He's coming in a kind of a prospect and has had a really good spring. Going to be a nice red zone threat for the Aggies this year.
6'6", 220. You've got Ricky Seals-Jones, who comes in at 6'5". Josh Reynolds, 6'4", back to pass, over the middle, completes it. That's a tight window.
Jeremy Tabayo, nice grab there. There's so many skilled players. The receivers, along with the defensive ends, I think those are the strong positions for this Aggie team.
Knight keeping it along the right side. They'll blow the whistle so he doesn't have the contact, but he picks up the first down. One of the things we're seeing, too, is a little bit of a pickup in pace here.
Yeah, my point I was trying to make is that there's so many skill position players. We just talked about all the running backs. They're 5 deep, the most that Kevin Sumlin's had in his tenure here at Texas A&M. And there are a lot of weapons for Noel Mazzoni, especially at receiver. Speedy Noyle we saw already. We know what Christian Kirk can do. Damian Ratley, Seals-Jones. A lot of different options for Trevor Knight or Jake Hubenek.
Hand off to Etwe in the middle, finds a little bit of a hole. Counted off at about 10 yards, another first down.
Well, the offense
at about 12.
At this point, you think defense, it's only 14, 15, this is the 15th practice, so to speak.
And they go quickly, and Knight keeps it along the right side. Quick little move right there to get to the pylon, and he gets there.
I don't know about that one if he breaks that tackle.
Larry Pryor was giving chase and couldn't get to him.
Right in position to make a tackle on the quarterback. They just want to have him to have some success. You'll see right here, Pryor's outside, nice leverage. I don't know, a little stumble
nice
there.
Little move.
Yeah, and the stumble trying to get outside.
Pryor with the little stumble on the outside, allowing Trevor Knight to get to the pylon. 8 plays, 45 yards on that drive, just under 3 minutes. And the Maroon team takes the lead, looking to make it 7. They've got to replace their kicker and punter from last year as well. Daniel LaCamera looks like he's the leader to take over the kicking duties. Extra point is good. Maroon takes the 7-3 lead over White. We're going to be back with more in the Maroon and White game from College Station after this.
By Bell.
Oh, man, look at that.
How did we miss that?
We found out last night they'll tailgate here for football, for baseball, for Parents Weekend. You give them an excuse, they'll go out there and barbecue. So we mentioned that the White team is going to be on defense all game long. Maroon on offense. Here's the scoring. The left side, that's traditional. That's how the Maroon is going to score points. But on the right, if you play fantasy football, you'll get it. You're going to have to get points defensively for this White team to win the game. That's how they have 3. They were able to get a turnover on the interception by Amani Watts in the first drive. Jake Hubenek now back into the game with a handoff. James White carries it for about 1 yard. So now we've got Jake Hubenek in. He, of course, played in the bowl game, last game of the year last year. You mentioned a slow start, but then he really picked things up.
Yeah, he really did. He came on at the end of that game, started to complete passes, and almost rallied his team back. But a guy that is in a serious competition with a grad student in Trevor Knight, who really impressed me in practice this week.
Completed one out in the flat there to James White. Justin Evans with the tackle on that one, bringing up a 3rd down and 7. Hubenek, first drive for him on the day. Trevor Knight, the first 2 drives for Texas A&M. Rolls out, tries to look downfield. Nice little comeback pattern right there. Completes it to Josh Reynolds.
One thing about Jake Hubenek that you recognize right away is his knowledge of the offense. He knows this offense, and it's new. Mazzoni coming in, installing a new offense for this Aggie team, and you could see right away he knows exactly where to go with the football.
Keep an eye on his running back right now, lining up next to him in the gun. That's Travion Williams, the true freshman. Fake handoff to Williams, looking downfield, tipped at the line of scrimmage, almost picked off. Taro Alaka couldn't wrap it around. It was Hardrick Walker with the deflection.
Little play action here, and you got some defensive linemen here that can really get to the quarterback. Yep. Dylan Mack inside. Waylon Cunningham. You talk about Myles Garrett and Deshaun Hall.
Kingsley Kiki there you saw for a moment.
Oh, yeah.
They've got a lot of depth on the defensive line. It's the linebackers where they really need to worry about depth, especially with some injuries, some minor injuries coming into this game, and A.J. Hilliard out for the year as we see Williams here for the first time carrying the ball, trying to make something happen with the defense in the backfield.
Yeah, then we're talking defensive linemen, and they're reestablishing, especially the big fella Kiki, reestablishing the line of scrimmage, making it tough on the true freshman Williams to grind out any yards.
Jarrett Johnson, another one of those defensive ends with the tackle.
But you're right. That first drive, 9 passes, 6 runs, and they had success running the football. Yeah. That's linebackers closing, getting in holes, and that concerns the chief, John Chavis, the defensive coordinator here.
We're going to have a whistle here offside. Let's see where it goes. It's going to go against the offense.
False start. Offense, number 72, 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
Jermaine Illuminor with the false start. Matt Leffler is our referee for today, and John Chavis, the chief, 2nd year as the defensive coordinator here in College Station.
One of the best in the business, in my opinion. A&M went out, got a good one. Took him away from LSU, where he had a lot of success coaching there. He is one of the best.
3rd down and long here. Let's see what Hubenak can do. He tries to make something happen, dumps it off to Williams, and he can't shake the first defender. Nice play that time by Sean Washington. Boy, do they expect a lot out of him, as we mentioned, with this depleted linebacking core.
Yeah, he's going to have to come up, make a lot of plays. Richard Moore injured. Kind of their play caller, a quarterback on that side of the football. Alaka playing as well, but Sean Washington, a returning starter, be asked to do a lot this season.
Christian Kirk back to receive this punt. Kirk, last year, 2 punt returns short of leading the nation in average return. Just couldn't quite get enough attempts. He's going to fair catch this one at the 17-yard line. And with that, we'll take a quick break.
SEC Network Spring Football is presented by Regions Bank, proud to be the official bank of the SEC, and in part by Belk, the home of modern Southern style. Visit Belk.com today. And AT&T, mobilizing your world.
Allen flushed out of the pocket. He's going to score. Touchdown. Christian Kirk. He is sensational. Touchdown.
And Kevin Sumlin's team runs his record to a perfect 5-0.
Aggies were a top 10 team. How things changed. Kyler Murray, the ascent as quarterback.
Les Miles carried off the field following a hard-earned victory over Texas A&M.
Kyler Murray is transferring from Texas A&M. He's the 2nd QB to transfer in as many weeks as Kyle Allen announced he would be leaving the Aggies program as well.
The wheel stops on Jay Kubanak, a junior college transfer.
Louisville wins 27-21 against Texas A&M at the Franklin American Mortgage Music City Bowl.
Chris Cotter and Andre Ware back with you. Andre 8-5 last year, 4-4 in conference play. Began just the way the previous year began, 5-0, but then things fell apart for them in the second half.
Yeah, it got going, and it basically changed how they went through their offseason program this year because of the end result to last season. Off to a great start, Arizona State, Ball State, Nevada, Arkansas with a big overtime win, and then just kind of stumbled down the stretch. Kevin Sumlin telling us on Thursday that we want to be a little bigger at the end of the season and a little bit more bulk.
Change their workout programs, change the nutrition program. Kendall Bussey with the carry there. Let's go back down to Casey Smith on the field for more on that. Casey?
Well, Chris, I talked to strength and conditioning coach Larry Jackson before the game about those changes, and he said it really starts with the education of their strength program. He said he's teaching the guys why they need to eat the way they do, why they need to get more sleep, and why they're working out certain positions in the gym. He said that they are understanding how they can approach getting stronger, and it's all about the recovery. And I know, Andre, you've talked about that. These guys are getting bigger much faster, and he's saying it's because they're working out specific parts of the body, and then they're focusing on recovering those parts. And that's an NFL thing that he's wanting these guys to really, really embrace this spring.
All right, thanks, Casey. While we were listening to Casey, Jake Hubenak, a really nice pass. Jamion Ratley couldn't bring it in. But to Casey's point, this is a team that 2 years in a row now they faltered down the stretch. And with this schedule, it's tough at the beginning and at the end.
Yeah, the rest part of that is essential in terms of being able to carry weight and hold weight towards the end of the season. Jake Hubenak here, you see that long pass down the field. They had a junior college connection, so I expected him to go to Ratley at some point early here in this spring game. But there's Larry Jackson. He is one of the best at his job, and if there's anybody that could get that thing turned around and keep weight on players, they were talking about Deshaun Hall and being down in the 240s at the end of last season. They want to keep him at least 260 throughout most of the season.
Well, here's Braden Mann with the punt. 39-yard punt, no return. Have a look at Trevor Knight back at quarterback when we return.
Let's take a look at Trevor Knight and what he's done so far. Nice quick release to the outside shoulder there to get a quick completion, show it one way. Footwork to get the ball to Speedy Noyle. We'll see him here. A lot of quarterback reads this year in Noel Mazzoni's offense. Quarterback's going to carry it a lot, and you see here, turning one in for a touchdown and 6 points. Showing some versatility, off to a nice start. 3 of 3, 27 yards, and a rushing touchdown.
Couple of drives for Jake Hubenak, leading to a couple of punts. Trevor Knight back in the fold after he directed the Maroon team on the first 2 drives of the game. Again, the Maroon is going to be on offense all day long. White's on defense all day long, but they have opportunities to score points. That's why it's 7-5 right now. Maroon on top. 2 backs in the backfield. Travion Williams with the carry. You see the explosiveness getting to the hole. He picks up 6 yards.
Well, you see the explosion, and coaches just rave about his quickness and his ability to get through the hole. But my man has spent some time in the weight room. Check out those guns. He kind of looks like you, Cotter. I mean,
he kind of looks like Trevor Knight. He's got just the one arm.
He is bowed up.
And that move right there by Williams to get free and get the first down downfield. Making the tackle is Deshaun Hall, but not before. Williams is able to move the chains.
I just looked there at my monitor at Trevor Knight, and then to my left, I just see guns everywhere. It's a nice little nice pass there to pick up the first down.
Again, 2 backs in the backfield, a little misdirection. Williams carrying it up the middle, and then when you got a guy who's 5'9", 190 pounds, that's what Williams is listed at right now. And right out of high school, this is the thing with him is, how much is he going to be able to carry between the tackles like that?
That's a great point, and the one I was going with is that's what they're going to rely on him, or they have to see from him. Can he run between the tackles? Can he break tackles in between or at the line of scrimmage, so to speak, and pick up the 4- and 5-yard gains and essentially then get outside and hit home runs?
There you see James White with the carry. They're moving the football, running it. This looks like another first down right here. We mentioned at the very top of the show, 3 early enrollees are participating in this Maroon and White game, including Travion Williams. And we're going to say Trevor Knight as well, as he transferred as a graduate, transferred from Oklahoma with the carry here. And they're going to blow this one dead.
And Colton Prater, an offensive lineman, he's contributing. Braden Mann, who his dad, one of the best stats guys in the NBA for the Rockets. It was a nice job.
Knight back to pass, and they're going to blow that one dead as another one of those defensive ends, Deshaun Hall with the stop. And when you've got Garrett and Hall coming at you,
that makes it tough in practice.
That's what, we were talking to Noel Mazzoni about that. How much does this make you better just having to go against those defensive ends? And he said, you better get rid of the football quick, otherwise the whistle is going to be blown.
Well, it's a good training tool for both Trevor Knight and left tackle Avery Genesee, because Genesee's got to face him every day in practice. You're either going to get better or you're going to get embarrassed. And Genesee is starting to really come on. It's going to make him a better football player as well. On the other side, Coda Martin.
Knight scrambling out to the right, looking downfield. He's just going to throw this one away. Didn't have anybody open. Had Josh Reynolds in the pattern, but he was covered nicely that time.
I'll tell you what, Coda Martin, when I had a chance to see him this week in practice, you talk about a big football player at 6'6", 300 pounds, carries it well. I think he's the next thing and next great lineman at Texas A&M.
Well, we
mentioned good footwork for a guy that size.
Yeah. We mentioned that A&M is having to replace both their kicker and punter from last year's team. Daniel LaCamera is the leading contender to take over place kicking duties. He's going to try a 53-yard attempt here. Got enough leg. Just wide right. We got a flag. Let's see what happens here. We mentioned our referee, Matt Leffler, talking it over.
Might get a do-over. A mulligan.
This is important.
Personal foul, face mask on the offense, number 85. That penalty is declined. The ball's turned over. First down.
That's 3 points right now for the white team, as they get points for missed field goals and defensive stops. That is
the stash,
the greatest mustache I've seen since Magnum PI. Honestly, I'm so jealous of that. Noel Mazzoni has been around, hadn't he? I mean, he has had some jobs. He's been all over the landscape at both the college and the pro level.
Yeah, he goes all the way back to Jim Wacker at TCU, and they were running the split back veer. And Mazzoni comes in there, got him to open things up. They start chunking it around a little bit. You see him here at Arizona State, and then the last stop at UCLA, where they had some great success in that, and his tenure there as an offensive coordinator, going 9-5, 10-3 in consecutive years, and then finishing last year 8-5.
Trevor Knight back in at quarterback. He keeps it along the right side. They'll blow this one dead as Alex Caesar was giving chase.
That's a lot. That's what Aggie fans can get used to. A lot of quarterback runs in Noel Mazzoni's offense. A lot of quarterback reads, and then off that you see Baylor do it sometimes, a bubble screen, so it'll look like an inside handoff. Quarterback pulls it, he gets out on the edge. If he's taken there, then there's always another option in which to flip the football to.
And let's not forget, in his 4 years at UCLA, he had the Pac-12's leading rusher in 3 of those years. Oh, wide open down the middle. Grant Gustafson, the tight end, takes it all the way down deep into white territory. Alex Caesar finally making the stop.
Well, an excellent read by Trevor Knight. Watch the quick decision. Ball's out quickly. That allows the run after the catch. They talked a lot about Tanner Shorp looking for some depth at tight end, and Gustafson may give him that.
Handoff along the left side. That's Kwame Etwe. He's going to carry for about 2 yards. Yeah, you said that. The depth at tight end is really something that they're going to be looking for. So expect to see Tanner Shorp, Greer Shetler, Grant Gustafson trying to make plays today to impress.
What, he helped himself on that one. That's why you get excited if you're an Aggie fan about Trevor Knight, the decision making, this being a senior, having played games before, and boy, can he spin a football.
Quick pass that time, gets it out into the flat. Iheanacho with the catch. Short of the first down. It's going to bring up about a 3rd down and 4. Ronnie Elam with the stop.
Nice drive here being put together by Trevor Knight. Nice mix as well by the coaching staff of run and pass, keeping this defense off balance.
Again, quick pass this time to the outside receiver, Damian Radley. And that's going to be a completion for a first down.
And it seems simple slant route, and you throw it in there for a completion, but it's harder than it looks because it's a position pass. Had to be thrown low. Excellent coverage, but excellent accuracy on the part of Trevor Knight.
Etwe with the carry again, gets about 4 yards off left tackle. Landis Durham with the stop. One of those linebackers trying to make an impression.
He had a throw earlier in this game, a simple curl route. Defender was inside, put it on the outside shoulder, keeps it from being knocked away. Some accuracy. You see the play to the right, nice and low where the corner can't drive on.
Knight completes this one to Boone Niederhofer. That's a touchdown, his second touchdown, 1 rushing and now 1 passing on the day.
I'm telling you, this guy's playing with a chip on his shoulder. He's beaten out by Baker Mayfield at Oklahoma last year. Had to sit and watch. He has come to work at Texas A&M. I think if they're starting a game next week, Trevor Knight's the guy.
Niederhofer just part of that receiving depth that just goes on and on for this Aggie team. 7 plays, 64 yards, just over 2.5 minutes time. The Maroon team takes the lead back. And Daniel LaCamera adds the extra point. You know, Trevor Knight really exploded onto the scene in the Sugar Bowl back in 2014. Sugar Bowl record 32 pass completions for 348 yards against an Alabama team that, you know, some people would say maybe they really didn't want to be there. But you can't tell Bob Stoops in Oklahoma that. They just housed them in that Sugar Bowl. So people thought, hey, this kid might be a Heisman Trophy candidate after that game. Yeah. It hasn't quite worked out that way for him.
And I said we did college football live together. Pump the brakes on that one because it was one game. It was just one game. Give me that. You know for how an we entire are, though. Oh, I know it. I know. We got to put people in certain categories, but he wasn't ready yet. And then you look at those video clips of that Sugar Bowl, and just physically look at that guy and the guy you're looking at right now. He has put in some work. You can tell that he's playing with a chip on his shoulder, and he is a leader of this Aggie football team.
10 of 14 for 119 yards and a touchdown. He does have the one pick so far in this game. Jake Hubenak now back in shotgun. Kingsley Keke with the stop there after just a 1-yard game. It'll be 2nd down and 9. Kendall Bussey on the carry. In the shotgun, 4 wides. Gets back out to Bussey on the flat. Nice play in pursuit. Amani Watts, yeah. The Amani Watts of 126 tackles last year. We mentioned a lot of those are going to be 10 yards downfield. Well, this one is in the backfield. Just great speed.
He can slide down in the box, Chris, and make plays like that, play around the line of scrimmage. That gives the Chief, John Chavis, a lot of versatility in his defense because you have a guy like that that can make a lot of plays, whether it's 10 yards down the field or in the backfield.
And Jake Hubenak escapes the rush, but they blow the play dead. I know as I saw my quarterback partner over here not very happy about that.
No, you know, that's why you want to be live in scrimmages or spring game.
But you also don't want this guy right here to kill the quarterback, right?
Yeah,
am I right about that? You don't want that guy live breathing down your neck.
That
Myles
one,
Garrett.
I'm thinking Jake Hubenak gets it away. But defensively, we talked about it a lot. The top 4 tacklers on this team are either the secondary or linebackers, which that's going to happen. You want linebackers making plays, and they're going to have big-time numbers. Should be. But if it's defensive backs, then you're giving up some plays way past the line of scrimmage.
Another 3 and out. So the white team gets another point for that 3 and out. Shane Trapuka with the punt. Hey, we got a great baseball doubleheader for you Sunday. 1 o'clock Eastern, Arkansas squaring off against Ole Miss. Then at 4, Florida has been unbelievable. They're taking on Mississippi State. Both games right here on the SEC ESPN network and are streaming live on Watch ESPN and are on the ESPN app. Aggies beat Georgia 15-1 today across the street. That's an unbelievable stadium too. Olsen Stadium. We were down there yesterday watching a baseball game. Great atmosphere, great crowd for a college base. This Texas A&M has assimilated beautifully into the SEC as far as baseball goes. That was a huge packed stadium and a great atmosphere last night.
Both those matchups feature top 25 teams.
Yeah. Hubenak this time gets it out to Travion Williams, and there you see the elusiveness for this young tailback. Big gain for him.
I tell you what, he is a weapon.
That's the end of the first quarter.
And a big play waiting to happen. A special player that's going to contribute as a true freshman.
29 yards on this play. After the first quarter, it's a 14-13 lead for the Maroon team. Back with more. The Maroon team leading the white team so far through 1 quarter. Now remember, the white team is defense all game long, so they're going to get points for making stops and turnovers. Here's Travion Williams, freshman out of C.E. King High School in Houston, Texas. They're really excited about him.
Yeah, they know that in space, a play like this, that he can make plays. He's explosive. We talked about it. Can he run between the tackles? The answer, yes. He's proven that already here early in the spring game.
Jake Hubenak in shotgun. 5 for 8, 46 yards so far on the day, and tried to get a little bit of a hitch and go route there on the outside. Couldn't get it to work. Travion Williams, you look at what he did at C.E. King. I mean, 3,800 yards on the ground and 45 touchdowns. What, over 2 years?
And he comes in here early as a true freshman and has just been impressive. The entire coaching staff, Larry Jackson, the strength coach, everybody raving about Travion Williams.
Jubanek can't connect that time with Ihenicho. You know, his nickname is Nacho, and I really feel like I probably just need to go that route for the next 3 quarters. A flag on the play.
Holding. Offense, number 62. That's a 10-yard penalty. Replay, second out.
Chad Lloyd's called for holding, so they'll back the Maroon team back up.
Oh, and Dylan Mack, that's tough. Dylan Mack trying to drop some weight. They want him about 5 pounds lighter.
5? You think
he
that's enough?
335. They want him about 330. He is quick already.
Jubanek having to throw this one away as continuing to get pressure on the quarterback.
That's the thing about here.
Quaylen Cunningham that time.
And most programs in the SEC, if you get play coming in as a freshman, a lot of these 5-star athletes, you're going to get on the field. Dylan Mack coming in last year, contributing in a big way, 32 tackles, forced a fumble last year. And then Travion Williams, a true freshman coming in, a January enrollee. Will play a big part in Nome Zona's offense.
3rd and 20 here. Let's see how Jake Jubanek handles this long yardage situation. A little low snap, but he handles it. Moves up in the pocket. Oh, they blew that one dead. What a throw and what a catch. Boone Niederhofer.
They're going to blow it.
They're going to say that they got to the quarterback, and they're going to call it a sack.
How about the accuracy of that play in the hands of Niederhofer? That's your stepping in, drops it right over. I mean, exactly where it needs to be thrown, so the defensive back there can't make a play on it.
Hell of a catch
Alex
that
Caesar
time by Niederhofer.
Yeah, Caesar's in great position. Niederhofer just made a nice play and a better throw from Jake Jubanek.
How many times do you think Niederhofer makes a play and somebody says in their best flounder voice, Niederhofer, and he has no idea what they're talking about? Nick Harvey on the fair catch for the white team. 35-yard punt. Again, no return. Maroon will take over at the 10-yard line. I'm going to show you Myles Garrett's workout when we come back. This is no joke, folks.
Oh, wow.
You want to stay tuned for this.
As soon as I come off, I want to make him try to reach back as far as he can. And I'm going to take a step inside. So I make him put all his pressure right here. And I'm going to slap his arms by. And so he's leaning, come over the top, come right behind him, bend the edge, tap the quarterback.
Well, Myles Garrett showing his quickness in the gym. He showed last year that his freshman campaign was no fluke. 24 sacks over the last 2 years. That's tied for most in the FBS. He had 12.5 last year, had 5 forced fumbles, even picked off a ball, too. So they'll move him back in coverage. They'll move him all over the field.
Yeah, I'm amazed at just the physical development over the last couple of years. He looks like, you know, he has just totally changed his body. He'll be fine towards the end of the season. He is a guy chasing down plays 20 yards down the field if there's a big play, and he's just a football player.
And the fact that you've got Hall on the other side means you've got 2 bookend defensive ends that can attack the quarterback, and it really creates problems for any offense you go against.
Well, you can't double team Myles Garrett because then Deshaun Hall comes to play, and they've got some pretty good players behind them as well. Jared Johnson, a guy that can get after the passer, along with Cunningham. They decide to substitute for those two and give them a blow. There's not much of a drop-off.
They really like what they've seen from James Lockhart, Quaylen Cunningham, Jared Johnson, as you mentioned. I mean, the depth there on the defensive line, particularly at the ends, about as strong as you're going to get on this team on the defensive side of the football. Offensive side, obviously, you've got the receivers, and they're really excited about their running back crew as well.
You look at it, arguably the best pair of defensive ends in the country, and for good reason.
Trevor Knight back to pass again, trying to get it out. Josh Reynolds can't do it. We'll bring up 4th down. Last year against the run, they gave up 214 yards per game. Good for 13th in the conference and 107th in the country, and 27 runs of at least 20 yards. So they're susceptible to the big play as well.
It's when you have guys with the physical talents of Garrett and Hall that can get up the field, then you have to have gap fillers, and that's what this defense is still looking for at linebacker, guys that can fill gaps and make plays.
Christian Kirk with the fair catch. More on this A&M defense and the Chief when we come back. Well, this A&M defense certainly improved last year over the previous season. John Chavis at the helm. Went from giving up 451 yards per game to 388. And they also improved in terms of their scoring from over 28 points to 22. Second in the league in pass defense. Still gave up too much in terms of running the football. But you look at the defensive ends, we've talked about him, and Amani Watts, just a tackling machine at that safety spot. Plus, Treese Willis, who's a cornerback transfer from UCLA. They really like him and Deshaun Capers-Smith, another young cornerback. They've got to replace their top 2 cornerbacks from last year, but they like those guys.
Yeah, they've got some all-stars on this defense, Garrett and Hall and Watts. And you can throw in Donovan Wilson, who plays kind of that nickel position, a big 6'1", 205-pound defensive back that does a nice job. Justin Evans steps in.
Yeah.
The weaknesses, though, linebacker, and we've hit on it a couple of times, as well as corner. There's some questions to be answered at those spots, and as a collective group, they're going to need that to come together to basically get better than they were even last year.
Yeah, they like Harvey on one side and Willis and Capers-Smith. If either one of those can step up on the other side, they'll really be happy with their cornerback spot. Those are big ifs. And Donovan Wilson, he's injured, not playing today. So they feel like they have 3 great safeties: Watts, Justin Evans, and Donovan Wilson. And Wilson's out today.
Yeah, and that linebacker Richard Moore, he's not participating in today's spring game, but he's kind of the quarterback on the field, a guy that can get the defense set, make some plays, and get everybody lined up.
Trevor Knight with the handoff to Kwame Edwee. He breaks it for a 1st down. Again, reminding you that the Maroon team is offense for the entire game. White team is defense for the entire game, but they can score points. That's why they have a 16-14 lead. Sacks count as points, 3 and outs, turnovers, 4th down stops, and of course, if they score, they get 6 for that. Knight back to pass, the floater down the right side, trying to find Tabuyu, and he catches it.
Oh, what touch. I mean, this is a special arm talent in Trevor Knight. You see him drill some shots in. We've seen him throw a couple of bubble screens and little flare passes, but this is the one, the moneymaker, when you show touch over the top, makes it easy on a receiver.
Deshaun Capers-Smith on the coverage, but a nice catch by Jeremy Tabuyu. Take another look here at Trevor Knight with the completion.
Watch the pocket presence after the play fake, and then a nice job of getting it up quickly and fading the receiver out of bounds. Nice job there as well by Tabuyu of leaving room on the sideline, about 4 yards, so Trevor Knight could fade him away from the defender.
Tabuyu back out there, split wide right. Knight back to pass, looks his way again. No, this time over the middle, finds Niederhofer again, and this time the catch is good. And Niederhofer punts it into section 105.
Oh, man.
12-yard touchdown pass and catch.
Figures it's a spring game.
He's going to get flagged for that one, too. It's fine.
Now, we saw the changeup. We saw the touch, and here's the fastball. Out in a hurry, into the hands of the intended receiver, Niederhofer. And
after the score,
nice form.
Unsportsmanlike conduct on number 4 on the offense. That penalty enforced on the try. The touchdown is good.
They didn't even give it to Niederhofer. They flagged Damian Ratley. I didn't even see that. Niederhofer obviously heard that Kaiser's no longer here with this team, so they're looking for a new
correction,
punter.
The foul will be enforced on the next possession.
What a nice form on the punt. If you're an Aggie fan, you have to be excited about Trevor Knight's arrival into College Station. Athletic, saw the touch on the outside, and then the fastball, the last play for a touchdown. That's next level stuff.
Well, that's 2 touchdowns passing the ball and 1 running for Trevor Knight on the game so far. Another look at Niederhofer's form.
Nice extension. Nice drop.
teammates congratulating him. Tonight at 11 o'clock on SEC, ESPN Network. Join our network analysts. They discuss all the SEC news of the day on SEC Now. And, of course, we've got 3 additional games to talk about here in the SEC. And next weekend, we've got a ton of games, really basically sun up to sundown. So this is the time of year here. This weekend, next weekend, the bulk of all these spring games.
Park it in front of the TV on the SEC Network and just watch spring football.
Or you can download that ESPN app and watch it streaming live next Saturday, as we mentioned. Look at this day right here, starting with Kentucky at noon Eastern on the SEC Network. Mississippi State, Alabama, Tennessee, LSU, Georgia, Mizzou, all day long, finishing up at around 8 o'clock on the SEC Network.
You and I were talking a lot of quarterback changes on that graphic for teams.
Tennessee, they still got theirs, but other than that,
a lot of changes. LSU still has a quarterback. Georgia making a change. Missouri, you could say they have one coming back.
Whether they have one or whether they have the one they want, those are probably 2 different questions.
That's true. That's true.
We've got 2 quarterbacks battling it out here, and Jake Hubenak and Trevor Knight, who's back in shotgun. Another quick release out to Ricky Seals-Jones.
I mentioned it earlier. Just the ability to catch, read, and get the ball out. It allows receivers to do something with it after the catch. And guys like Ricky Seals-Jones, a 6'5", 240, playing inside, and you want him with the ball in his hands as quickly as possible.
4 receivers here in tight. Knight trying to get it out to the outside, finds Ricky Seals-Jones again. And you talk about the depth of this receiving corps, and a lot of guys that are in that 6'4" to 6'6" range. I mean, Christian Kirk, dynamic with the ball in his hands. Just get it in his hands. Josh Reynolds, 6'4". Ricky Seals-Jones, 6'5". We mentioned Nacho at 6'6".
They've got some playmakers. Skill position players, that's not a weakness for this football team. They have them. It's can they protect Trevor Knight or Jake Hubenak? Can they avoid injury on the offensive line and find linebackers and corners? If they answer all those questions, it could be a special season.
And can they convert on short yardage situations on 3rd down? And they were not able to do it there with Kendall Bussey, so it brings up a 4th down and short. And a very conservative call right here with Braden Mann coming out to punt the ball.
I like the call.
All right.
If it's closer to the 50, then yeah, I may roll the dice and go for it. But
it's not Boone Niederhofer punting it. It's the freshman Braden Mann.
He has got a leg.
Casey Smith's down on the field with more on this great wide receiver group they have here at A&M. Casey?
Well, guys, you've talked about how talented they are, but one of the things the coaches really wanted to see in spring was for them to get better at running their routes. They did a lot of different things through spring practice to work on that. One of the things they did was having a white line down the whole entire field close to the sideline where these guys could work on their fade routes. And somebody else who's been really beneficial to these wide receivers is Trevor Knight. On the sidelines, he goes immediately to his guys and goes over the routes, says, what did you see? What did I see? He's even working on which way they should turn to him when they're looking for the ball.
Yeah, once again, displaying leadership skills. And we talked about that. That white line is designed to give you 4 yards, whereas a quarterback, give me the yardage from the sideline so I can win with the throw. I will throw you open, fade you towards the sideline. If you're running it right down the sideline, I'm gonna fade you out of bounds. So it's a good teaching tool for the coaching staff and to deliver for this the receiving corps.
Travion Williams with the carry. A new quarterback here, Connor McQueen, the senior from Klein, Texas, now taking snaps.
He's a walk-on originally, and he's the holder, perfect on holes during his career here at Texas A&M, but was put on scholarship a year ago.
And he's the number 3 quarterback right now, backing up Hubenak and Knight, so he's going to get plenty of looks here throughout the rest of this game. Whistle blown.
False start. Offense, number 67. 5-yard penalty remains. 2nd down.
Drew Beakey called with the infraction.
Now you're trying to find some depth right now along the offensive line. Who can hold up? Still have the big man inside, Dylan Mack, still out playing.
He's hard to miss. 6'1", 335 pounds, and look at that off the edge. And that's Quaylen Cunningham, another one of those defensive ends that they are excited about, and he got off like a rocket.
That's the depth that we talked about. Cunningham, Quaylen Cunningham, Jared Johnson.
No chance that time.
No. You got Lockhart on the other side that provides good depth along with Cunningham. They have got some defensive linemen that can flat out get after you. And in this conference, all the depth, you need all the depth that you can get. Well, Lockhart practices 100 miles an hour every snap.
3rd and 23 here. And McQueen trying to find it deep and can't connect. It's picked off. Deshaun Capers-Smith, one of those cornerbacks that they're hoping will step up, makes the pick. When we come back, A&M had their pro day just the other day, and we'll go down to Casey Smith to find out exactly where some of these Aggies might end up at the next level. Texas A&M held their pro day this past week, Wednesday to be exact. NFL scouts in attendance, several former Aggies trying to impress as they look forward to the NFL draft coming up just in a few weeks. Some of the notable players, including a couple of cornerbacks we mentioned, Hal Priest-Willis and Nick Harvey, Deshaun Capers-Smith, having to replace these two guys right here, Devontae Harris and Brandon Williams. Trey Carson, first back in a couple of years to have 1,000 yards for A&M last year.
Yeah, Brandon Williams gonna have a lot of people interested in him because of his size, just over 6'1", 205, and ran 4.3. You know, he's got a lot of speed. First year at the position, having moved over from running back to corner, and had a solid season last year.
Speaking of a lot of size, Casey Smith is down on the field with somebody who's of rather large girth, aren't you, Casey?
Yes, and Jermaine Ifedi's had a very busy few weeks. I know you've been just going all over the place, talking to teams. The people at home just saw your highlights from Pro Day. How do you feel like it went?
I think it went well. You know, it was a great experience to get back down here and back on the field with my old teammates one last time, and I thought we all did a good job and put on a show for Pro Day for the scouts and the coaches.
Well, I know this is a very exciting day, so it's going to get loud. What have you seen from your former teammates today?
You know, I see a lot of young guys that I've seen come up and grow up through the years, and finally their hard work coming to fruition, and playing with a lot of energy. And you know, the offense has good tempo, defense is flying around like they did last year. So I'm seeing good thing, really good thing from a lot of guys out there.
Well, I know you're in a little bit a different position down here, kind of like a coach right now. What does this offensive line need to do to take that next step?
You know, just keep growing together. There's a young offensive line, but, you know, they have some experience, and they have a great coach in Jim Turner. So, you know, they just keep growing together, keep staying together, and continue to grow their game and learn from each other.
I know you played multiple positions on the offensive line while you were at Texas A&M. How do you feel like that helps you at the next level, and where do you think you best fit?
I think it helps a lot. You know, versatility is key. The fact that I played inside and outside, to be able to make that transition, you know, if a team has a need at a different position, I can play that. And, you know, I loved playing tackle last 2 years, but, you know, before that, I also loved playing guard. So it just depends where I fit best and where teams want me at when the draft does eventually come around.
And you decided to enroll early in the draft after your junior year. When you talk to these guys that are still on the team, what do you tell them about that decision?
You know, you just don't let it be a decision based on money. Let it be a decision based on what's best for you, your family, and your academic, and you as an athlete. You know, chasing money is never going to make you successful in this game. But, you know, if you feel like you're ready and you feel like you're mentally ready and physically ready, and you're far enough in school that you can finish with no problems, then by all means, if that's the right decision, you should do it.
And I know you didn't get to be a part of a lot of spring games because they took that break while they were renovating the stadium. But how cool is this experience for these guys?
Oh, it's great. It's the first time I get to watch the spring game in the new renovated stadium, and it's really nice. It's a great turnout, and you know, I'm glad to be here to watch it.
Well, I'll let you go get back to telling the guys what they should be doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tell you what, Chris, you talk about versatility. It's going to help him tremendously in the NFL. On Sundays, they're going to suit up about 7, maybe 8 offensive linemen, and you've got to have some versatility. A guy that can swing from one tackle to the other, can play both guard and tackle. So he's going to give some teams some versatility in that regard.
Ask our partner Trevor Matich about that. He had a long NFL career, about 12 years, because he could play every position on the offensive line, and that certainly goes a long way. Connor McQueen in a quarterback here. We saw a little trick play there while Casey was interviewing Jermaine. Christian Kirk showed off his arm. A beautiful strike to Speedy Noyle for the touchdown. What an athlete Christian Kirk is.
He stuck that foot in the dirt and just launched one to Speedy Noyle.
Connor McQueen in a quarterback right now. Just throws that one away. Here's the replay of that Christian Kirk 36-yard touchdown pass.
And making it look like a speed sweep, and he turns, plants, goes the other way, and then launches to Speedy Noyle. How about having those two as weapons on the field at the same time? Well, that's scary for any defensive coordinator.
And healthy, too. Speedy Noyle was so banged up last year with a hamstring, and, well, you name the injury, he pretty much had it to his lower body. McQueen back to pass. No flag on that play. You had Ronnie Elam on coverage.
Trying to work the fade stop down the sideline. That's when the cornerback's up the field and he's got tremendous position. Well, he's out of position because I'm going to throw it on the back shoulder. It's a good read by Connor McQueen here, so recognizing that the corner's up the field. Now the ball needs to be thrown to the outside and not inside.
Shane Trapuka with the punt. Fair catch made by Nick Harvey down at the 12-yard line. Sunday, we got a night of softball for you. Kentucky's going to take on LSU, another battle of ranked teams. Our coverage begins at 7 o'clock. Also streaming live, as always, on the Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. It's that time of year in the SEC where baseball and softball get cracking, and it's ranked teams versus ranked teams on just about every single occasion. Trevor Knight back in the game here, and he's had himself a pretty darn good first half, hasn't he?
I tell you what, he's shown me that he can change gears with his throw. Got off through the interception, Watts with the interception, but then he has bounced back. A touchdown rushing here on the outside. A nice throw down to the outside here on an out route, and then he had a nice touch throw. And then the fastball for a touchdown as well.
Niederhofer with a couple of his touchdown passes, grabbing those and scoring touchdowns. Travion Williams with the carry there. Just to look at the comparison here between these two quarterbacks battling for that starting spot. Knight 16 of 21, very accurate. Did have that one pick the first series of the game. Other than that, he's been great.
He's made up for it. He's put points on the board and throw in the rushing touchdown. That's 3 that Trevor Knight has accounted for. Talk about playing with a chip on his shoulder. He came to town to win this job.
3 wideouts here, and Williams in the backfield, quickly out in the flats, finds Josh Reynolds, and that's going to go for a first down.
That just continues to impress, the location in which he's putting the football with accuracy and arm strength. There, the quick out to Josh Reynolds, and he doesn't have to, no wasted movement, just catch it and get up the field.
Fake handoff. Quick out that time again, this time finding Damian Ratley.
Now he's showing off. I mean, one hash mark, a play fake, and an out route across the field. Watch this. Play fake, spin, throw, and this is an out across the field from the left hash to the right side of the field. That, my friend, takes some arm strength.
7-yard gain that time. Nick Harvey on the stop, and this time, that run play by Williams going nowhere.
Said it
earlier.
Like
Claude George in the middle that time with a great stop.
I said it earlier. If you're an Aggie fan, you should be pretty excited that Trevor Knight's in town. Oh, it's a quarterback competition. You got to keep both guys engaged in the competition. But if they were starting a game tomorrow or the next weekend, I think Trevor Knight would be the guy.
Trevor Knight handles the off snap, being rushed out of the pocket.
Showing you some.
Ricky Seals-Jones bringing that one in.
Showing you some versatility there with the legs.
Had Jared Johnson all over him.
The ability to move around and still throw accurately.
Trips left here, and he goes right this time, finding Williams out of the backfield, puts his foot in the ground, can't quite get away. He still manages to get a couple of yards out of it.
Now that position, a lot of it at quarterback, is about confidence. And you look at the body language of Trevor Knight, it just exudes confidence.
And now picking up the pace a little bit here.
Wow. That's
flag
fun.
down.
That's
nice play though. Yeah, Josh Reynolds had a nice route there too. Cutback route, ball was right on the money. 15 yards. Let's check the flag.
Personal foul Hands to the face, number 92, defense. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. Automatic, first down.
Zaycoven Henderson flagged for the illegal hands to the face.
Talk about a young man that loves football.
Yeah.
Henderson loves playing the game. Loves showing up for practice, having fun with Genesee earlier. I watched those two going at it and, you know, mimicking selfies on the big board. He loves the game.
He's 6'1", 300 pounds, and he can move like that. Yeah. God-given talents certainly helps. Again, Trevor Knight in shotgun, split backs. And that was a little mix-up right there. Mix-up right there on Jeremy Tabuyo. Now, there's Noel Mazzoni. Now, he is not calling plays for this game. As he mentioned to us earlier in the week, he's allowing his assistants to call all the plays, and he actually has a competition. One group of assistants is calling the plays in the first quarter and the third quarter, the other group in the second quarter and the fourth quarter, and whoever scores the most points wins.
My money's going on Clarence McKinney, because he's been a coordinator before and a play caller.
We're going to hear from Mazzoni in a little bit here. Casey's going to go find him. Well, that's the one thing is he wouldn't tell us what they were playing for.
McKinney, though, has that background as an offensive coordinator, now the running backs coach here, and as a play caller.
Jared Johnson down on the play.
He actually led the SEC in total yards and scoring when Clarence McKinney was the play caller here. You remember the game against Oklahoma where he took over in the bowl game and really had some success. There he is there.
Yeah, there he is. Headset on. He's obviously calling some plays. This is one thing you do not want to see, though. It's the worst case scenario is one of your players down here. That's Jared Johnson, the defensive end.
Nice to see him
getting up
on his own.
This is one of those things, too, when you talk about depth. And, you know, some of the players have been held out. We mentioned a Donovan Wilson not playing today. A Keaton Sutherland, he's not playing. Keith Ford probably could have gone, but isn't going because he has got a little bit of an ankle issue. You certainly don't want players getting hurt. Last practice of spring as you look forward to what you hope is a very productive summer practice.
Jared Johnson's a good player, came in highly recruited and really put some work in with Larry Jackson and that strength and conditioning staff. Really built his body, and he provides excellent depth. Both he and we talked about at Cunningham behind Garrett and Hall. They are loaded at defensive end.
Right back at it, 4 wide outs. Travion Williams in the backfield. Oh, can't quite hook up with Damian Radley, but that pass was almost on the money in double coverage.
The officials may be still trying to decide.
We do have a flag down. It looked like we had. Nope.
Just out. Heels out.
Foot on the chalk.
The ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. Offside on the defense, number 9. That's a 5-yard penalty. We'll replay, third down.
And Trevor Knight, Chris, shows you some senior leadership again. Hard count to get the defense to jump, and then he knew the presence in mind. Okay, I got him to jump. I got a free play here. Let me take a shot to Ratley to see if I can get it in the end zone, knowing I got a free 5 yards.
About 2.5 minutes left to go in this first half. Trevor Knight has had an outstanding first half. 3 total touchdowns, 2 through the air, 1 on the ground as he's leading this Maroon team yet on another drive just outside the red zone. 3rd down and 3. Little behind his receiver that time. Cannot quite connect with Damian Radley.
You talked about going for it. This may be a point on the field that I would think about going for it here.
Well, when I said it earlier that it was a conservative call, I just figure you got nothing to lose. You might as well go for it on 4th and 1 on any part of the field. Spring game.
About the 50-yard line is the measuring point. But here, I would actually entertain it in this situation.
40-yard field goal here, attempt by Daniel LaCamera. Off the upright and no good. The young man out of Tarpon Springs can't quite connect. So that's 3 points for the white team. Not only does the Maroon team not get the 3 points, but the white team gets it for a missed field goal.
Well, there's a talented kicker and Braden Mann that is on campus in uniform chopping at the bit for an opportunity, and that's the second miss by Daniel here. Pushed one wide right, and that one off the left upright.
You mentioned Braden Mann, early enrollee here for this A&M team out of Houston, Texas himself. Maroon keeps the ball, as they will the entire game. They are the offense from start to finish. It's Connor McQueen now taking snaps. He's the third string quarterback. Hands the ball off. Short gain. Kendall Bussey with the carry. Gets about 2. Second down and 8.
They talked to us about getting Dalen Mack down. We're still going at this point. They're going to play it off you. Force you to drop a few pounds.
Well, I asked Coach Sumlin earlier in the week, do you like him at 330? And his response of no was so quick. I almost didn't even get the question out before he said no. A little bit lighter than 330, I think, would be ideal for him. But they say he's just such a young guy, and he came in, he was 350 when he first got on campus.
And I told him, I said, he shows tremendous quickness. He said, yeah, for about 2 plays. And then he's tapping out to come to the sideline. So, you know, they want more minutes. They want more downs played out of Dalen Mack. So that hints the weight. They're wanting to get the weight down.
Sophomore out of Gladewater. You see him moving inside. Trips left for Connor McQueen. He looks right. Nice play that time by Edward Pope to come back to the football. Got him the first down, too. Again, this is converting on third downs.
Good read by Connor McQueen and Pope on the same page there. Corner's high. And he sits him down with a football and picks up the first down.
McQueen again looks right. This time goes back left, and they blow the play dead.
Got a sack there.
That's the end of the first half.
Like David Tarley that time rushing the quarterback and putting a little bit of pressure on to Connor McQueen. So we've come to the end of the first half, a spirited first half. And that sack, by the way, evening up the score. Maroon and white all even at 28 apiece.
Welcome to the home of the 12th man. We are in College Station, Texas, inside the McFerrin Indoor Football Facility. I'm Maria Taylor. That is Jabari Greer, and he had a pretty good career at the University of Tennessee. He understands everything about spring football, and that's exactly what is going on here in Texas A&M. Tell me, what is something that has really stood out or impressed you about the Aggies in spring practices?
Well, we all know about their offense. You know, they've been very explosive, and they have great playmakers on the outside. I was really impressed when I came to practice and saw how Speedy Noah would get up and go and grab that ball. He made so many plays yesterday. I think that he is starting to become that player that we wanted to see going into last season.
Well, he's just one of the 6 returning starters on offense for the Texas A&M Aggies. I'm sure they're going to be explosive in the fall, but we have plenty of sights and sounds all around our spring tour and Texas A&M football. So why don't you check them out?
Get the ball up, get the ball up. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Tough, fast, he's hard on you. He want to make sure everything's correct.
You're still getting a little bit up on that front foot a little bit, okay? A better base will make you sink on that back foot so I can push.
Loud, moving around, you know, joking with us.
I gotta do what I gotta do. Did he throw you into the wall? Did he throw you
Josh
into the wall?
right into the cameraman. Josh to the sled, me, cameraman. What to do? Man, I'm just trying to use the back 3 yards of the end zone, man.
Goofy. Yeah, he's real goofy. Likes to have fun, but knows when it's time to get serious and get to working.
Way to work, man. Way to work. Way to work.
So you've coached in the SEC before. You were at Auburn, and I remember you recruited me there as well. But you went to the Pac-12. And
where'd you go?
I went to Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
I did, but
still wearing the dress.
But when
I'm not gonna let him ever forget that.
Well, the biggest thing is establishing some depth. Football has changed so much, and what you have to understand with corners, and you know this, okay? When you get nicked up a little bit, you know, you can't go out there and wrap a hamstring up and come back and play. That doesn't happen at the corner. You get a big old tackle hurt, you know, he's going to wrap that hamstring up a little bit, he's going to go play.
Hey, I'm here with 2 of the best players at their position in the SEC.
at the end of the day, you ultimately want to be in control too. You don't want him to dictate everything that you do.
Yeah.
You want him following you.
Oh,
you want him following you.
How do you feel about that, Armani?
So if he takes that inside, he can go in there all he wants. Yeah. So my safety gonna come down hard and play. I'm gonna play on top and protect my safety, just like he protecting me. Yeah. If he break out, I'm gonna fight on that, and then my safety gonna come this way. And so it's really a win-win for DBs, but with all kinds of technique and details.
Awesome.
How would you describe your personality?
Laid back, fun, reserved guy, but, you know, looking to discover new things.
Myles Garrett's a fun dude, real old school guy. You see, he still got a big afro.
I often said he reminded me of Dolomite. I think you know who Dolomite is.
Before every game, we go to the movies on Friday. And Myles won't even watch a movie. He'll go somewhere else and write poetry or something like that.
What kind of poet are you?
I write about love. I write about everything, because you can put however you feel on that paper. And you can make it flow, you can have a rhythm to it, and it can be anything you want. You can have any style you want. It's yours, and you can just lay it out, and no one can judge you for it.
He's extraordinary. I don't know any other word to say. Everything he does is extraordinary.
Well, we're taking you in and outside of the Texas A&M football program. And Jabari, it's been really fun to see exactly what we can look forward to in the fall. What are you most looking forward to seeing in September?
I'm looking forward to seeing John Chavis' second year as defensive coordinator, what he's going to do with the weapons that he has. Evans and Watts in the secondary. He lost two of his corners, so we're going to see how the young guys respond, but you have two of some of the most dynamic defensive ends in the nation. So I'm really excited to see him let his dogs loose, so to speak. Coach Chavis is going to have fun with this team going into the fall.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt that you have Myles Garrett, Deshaun Hall, and some veteran experience on that D-line. Well, the first game for the Aggies is September 3rd. We got you all up to date on spring football here. It's time to turn you loose. Thank you so much for joining us at the home of the 12th man.
The maroon team is the offense. The white team is the defense here at the A&M spring game, all tied at 28 apiece. Beautiful Kyle Field on a beautiful night for football. Chris Cotter alongside Andre Ware with you, and all tied up, so the defense is getting theirs, but really offensively it was the story of the quarterbacks. We all kept our eye on Hubenak and Knight here through the first half. What did you see?
Kind of surprised that the defense is getting ahead of the offense, and the offense is moving the ball the way they have. Trevor Knight, I thought, got the ball out quickly. Allows receivers to make plays after the catch. You see here standing in, delivering the football. This one is the only blemish on his resume today. You know, otherwise you get the touchdown run here. He's shown touch. He's shown accuracy. He's shown arm strength, mobility, everything Kevin Sumlin, Neil Mazzoni wanted when Trevor Knight transferred to Texas A&M. They've got.
To be fair, Jake Hubenak, as we heard, is feeling a little under the weather in this first half. He did get the ball on a few series, but he was not able to move the team as well.
Not quite as well as Trevor Knight, and it could be because he's ill. But I tell you what, you have some playmakers, skill position players, receivers, running backs. Whichever guy ultimately wins this job at quarterback, they've got plenty of weapons.
Even not getting any help there from his receiver with that beautiful touch pass right there. Here's the comparison of the two quarterbacks. Now I ask you, Knight's numbers look sensational, and I know you were really impressed with him in the first half, but this isn't the 1976 Pittsburgh Steelers defense coming after him, trying to take his head off on every single play. That obviously makes a difference.
It does, and there's some guys that are missing from John Chavis's defense, but I still, you know, you still have to throw completions. You still have to be accurate with the football. And Trevor Knight showed that in the first half of the spring game.
And when we come back, we'll have 1 20-minute quarter to wrap up this game with a running clock. So don't go anywhere, folks. Texas A&M spring game presented by Regions Bank. Second half kickoff. As we saw to open the game, we saw the 11-on-11, all the walk-ons now vying for that 12th man, the number 12 jersey. A walk-on gets to wear it and run down on kickoff coverage on every single play throughout the year. And, well, we're going to see somebody else now try and crash heads here. This is important for these guys. This is big to make an impression.
Well, keep an eye on number 45, Cullen. Gillespie.
He wants to make a play. He's in there. And the Maroon offense will come back out on the field after a 12-yard return. Casey Smith is down on the field. She caught up with defensive ends coach Terry Price as the teams came back out on the field. Casey?
Well, Chris, he said that they saw some things defensively that they want to fix through the first 2 quarters, but he said basically this is about having fun. He really wants his guys to come out with whatever time they have left in the spring game and really enjoy the moment and then worry about fixing those things later on. He said that both the offense and the defense shared a locker room as they normally did. And I said, well, how was that? He said, well, they're still a team, but as soon as we hit the field, it's all about competition. They've been jarring with each other, but we're happy with what we've seen so far.
And Trevor Knight here still at the quarterback spot with the handoff to Kwame Etwe. He's going to get nowhere, and we got, as we mentioned, a 20-minute running clock here. So first half took a little bit longer than they thought it might. They're going to have the running clock here in the second half, but Trevor Knight's still getting snaps, and that's a big function of Jake Hubenak not feeling well.
It is, and getting some extra work. And I tell you what, one guy that will gobble up the opportunity to put in a couple of extra reps is Trevor Knight. He missed a lot of football watching last year. So, you know, you have a chip on your shoulder when you have to sit out, whether it's injury or you're on the bench.
Yeah, play fake that time did not work as the rush was coming from just about everywhere, including from Quaylen Cunningham, who's been impressive, and Dalen Mack.
What, Dalen Mack pushing the pocket from inside. They can get that type of production from him along with Garrett and Hall on the outside.
Interestingly, too, when we went to halftime, we heard from Coach Mazzoni talk about how he'd like to push the pace a little bit more here.
They always do.
I wonder if we'll see that more here in the second half as they run the clock and as we still see Trevor Knight here taking snaps.
Put up 28 points in the first half of a game, and I want to get faster. That's an offensive coordinator for you right there.
We saw Eric McCoy limping off, the center for the Maroon team. We'll get an update on him, and look at that. Ricky Seals-Jones, beautiful catch across the middle. He's going to get a first down.
That's what I mean when you talk about guys missing from the defense and Trevor Knight having success. You still have to throw and catch with live bodies moving around you, and that's a nice throw there to Seals-Jones, who I think is primed for a big year. I think he is healthy. He's going to have one of those big years along with Trevor Knight.
Junior from Sealy, Texas, making that catch, and this time going out to Jeremy Tabuya with the grab. Gains about 8 yards.
Shows some good quickness for an inside slot receiver. Tabuya out of Hawaii, St. Louis High School.
Football factory out there in Honolulu. Kwame Etwe in the backfield now with Trevor Knight. Fakes the handoff quickly to the left side and could not quite hook up with Edward Pope.
Well, you have to be quick. You got to have a strong arm, and we saw him make that throw earlier. Maybe rushed it a little bit there, but right hash throwing an out route left. I mean, it basically opens up the entire field when you can do things like that and forces a defensive coordinator to defend sideline to sideline.
Once again, this time hitting Tabuya, and he makes the grab and converts on third down.
And what happens, Chris, when you have a quarterback or as a coordinator, when you're facing one that cannot do that, you can shut down half the field because you know on film he hadn't made that throw all the way across the field. This little hitch route on the outside, it's quick into the hands of the receiver and allows him to pick up some additional yards.
Nick Harvey having to make the stop. Here's Etwe along the left side, powering his way and continuing to push the pile. He's going to get close to another first down.
He may have lost the football.
Yeah, defense is saying he coughed it up. However, the officials look like they're going to place it down.
Impressed with him as well.
Nick Harvey came up with the ball. Take another look. I mean, Etwe just continued to just churn off. Push the pile.
One thing there, you can't hear the whistle, so it may have been a whistle that stopped play.
Ruling on the field is a fumble recovered by the defense.
Oh, now that's a big deal because, again, they get points for turnovers. So that's 3 more points for the white team. I stand corrected. Nick Harvey with the fumble recovery. As you see Etwe trying to push the pile. Where does the ball come out?
Well, that's when you got to read. He's
right
looks like
there.
he
Yeah,
has
the ball
it covered
is definitely
up,
out. Definitely comes out.
No doubt. He was being
Harvey with the recovery.
And tackled awkwardly.
That's a shame for Etwe. You had to An outstanding run. He's had an outstanding game as well.
You know, Trey Carson was the primary ball carrier last year for Texas A&M.
What, 242 carries last year?
Yeah, talking to Noel Mazzone, he said we could be running back by committee this year with Williams, White, Ford when he's healthy, and Hetwe. All four of those guys may command carries.
Connor McQueen, the quarterback, hands this one off. Nice little move inside. That looks like Kendall Bussey gets himself about 14 yards and a first down.
This was a kid that was committed to Tennessee. Changed, decided to become an Aggie, redshirted last year.
Young man from New Orleans, another carry. He's going to go for about 5 more. 4 yards on that one. Landis Durham with the stop. Another one of those middle linebackers looking for playing time, looking to impress today.
Bussey has been a pleasant surprise this spring.
And they're going to ride him right now. This time along the left side and close to a first down. May come up just a couple of feet short. Dwayne Thomas with the stop.
Nice job by this reserve offensive line, creating some nice holes for Kendall Bussey.
This offense 9 for 19 now on third down as they try and pick up another one. A short yardage situation here, third and about a foot.
This is when I like the ability to go under center and just quarterback sneak for the first down.
Bussey dances around, looks for some space, and finds some along the left side. He's going to pick up about 20, 25 yards.
The patience, the ability to set up a couple of blocks. Watch the patience here. Doesn't just hit it in there. He waits, sets up the block. That's blocked by Drew Beakley as well in there for Bussey.
Oh, he puts as low as his shoulder down, too, to pick up 5 yards. Here's the running backs now. Keith Ford, as we mentioned, he's got a little bit of an ankle issue. He's out for this game. So it offers up more opportunities for James White, Kwame Hetwe, as we've seen, Travion Williams, the youngster, the freshman, and then Kendall Bussey.
Hetwe puts it on the ground. Bussey gets the next opportunity, and you see the competition. Running with a purpose is Kendall Bussey.
Second down and about 4. This time McQueen going to the end zone, and he finds his man. Damian Radley with the score. 16 yards on that pitch and catch.
Nice throw by Connor McQueen, 23 years old, the oldest player on this team, and he'll turn 24 in August. A former walk-on who was awarded a scholarship last year. It's a nice throw.
Deshaun Capers-Smith on the coverage. It's a score. McQueen stays in to hold on the extra point.
He was trying to maybe thinking about going under center. He's counting it up. Perfect on holes. It's Connor McQueen in his career here.
LaCamera with the extra point attempt. No problem there. Maroon retakes the lead after a 6-play, 59-yard drive. Culminates in this Connor McQueen touchdown pass. Kevin Sumlin era here at Texas A&M, entering its 5th season, 36 wins in his first 4 years. Certainly putting players into the pros is something they've been able to do here at Texas A&M with regularity. And Coach Sumlin joins us right now down on the field. Coach, what's impressed you the most so far in this game?
Well, you know, we've had a lot of guys play. I thought we've done a good job of getting all our running backs in and really getting them some work. Jake showed up today, had fever, maybe some flu-like symptoms, so he wasn't feeling real well to start the day, and really pushed himself to get in there, but we got him out, so Connor's getting a bunch of work.
Coach, you talked about the quarterbacks and being able to run the football. In order to do that, you've got to have some production on the offensive line. Replacing some starters up front, your thoughts on how they've played thus far?
Yeah, Avery Genesee started every game, but it's just a good. Oh no, young guy.
Put the ball on the ground.
Yeah, freshman. Got a lot of people over there.
Trey. Got to make a coaching point here, Chris. Got to get right to a youngster who just put the football on the ground.
And Travion Williams fumbling the football. We've got a couple of Aggies down too. Jermaine Illuminor is one of them.
All right, sorry about that.
And Daylon Mack is also down at the 40-yard line as these two players get looked at.
Yeah.
There's two guys there that you really don't want to lose or have injured.
Coach Sumlin is right in the middle of it, looking at his players. I mentioned that's Jermaine Illuminor, number 72. And here's Keaton Sutherland, who is projected to be possibly one of the starters. One of the things I know that Jim Turner, the offensive line coach, likes about him is he can play multiple positions across that offensive line. So he's out for this game. And like so many teams, really, everybody across the country, there's limited depth on the offensive line. I mean, you just don't have a roster full of offensive linemen that you can throw in there, third and fourth stringers.
Especially guys that have experience. Right. You know, they're not just waiting in the wings, and so you can ill afford to have those types of injuries. And you already have Sutherland sitting this one out. You don't want Illuminor to come up a little gimpy after this one. And this guy here has played a lot of snaps in the spring game.
Daylon Mack, the 6'1", 235-pound sophomore from Gladewater.
Big man.
Yeah, limping off the field. Trevor Knight back under center. This time can't find his receiver, Kima Sivaran. Coach, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Right,
sorry
good.
about that.
Yeah, that's all right. You don't want injuries in this spring game. That's the one thing I'm sure the most concerned about.
We had a lot happening right there. So
5-yard penalty, first down.
Ball out and two guys on the ground. Jermaine's already got leg whipped there. He's just, I think just kind of hurt a little bit. You get those two big guys on the ground. I think you said Daylon Mack was 6'1", 235. I don't think he's seen 235 since he was 10.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I must have misspoke then at 235.
Oh, good ball.
Coach, as well, you're having to replace some specialists in your punter and your kicker.
Yep.
A couple of misses today. Your thoughts on that in that area?
Yeah, well, Daniel LaCamera has been solid. We had a scrimmage here Friday night. A week ago, I think he was 5 for 6 or 6 for 7, and he missed one from 50-something. So that was uncharacteristic of him today. We pushed him out. One of them was a long ways away. So he's a young guy. He's got a lot of talent, a big leg, and just needs to keep working.
This kid right here, too, Travion Williams. I mean, you talk about a running back that could make a house call every time he touches the football, but he's got it looks like he's trying to show you some toughness between the tackles.
Yeah, he is. There's no question about it. He's got home run speed. A lot of those guys that run like that was the point there. A lot of track guys, they run with the football when early in their career like they're on the track. Mm-hmm. So, good. All right. That's a good job by him actually stepping up in protection there, too, which you could get concerned about protection, I mean, from a young back, but we got beat around the edge. But no, he's got good speed, and, he's going to help us.
How much has he changed body-wise, his physique, since he arrived on campus in January to where he is right now? Because for a true freshman, he looks put together.
Yeah, he was put together pretty good in high school, but he's gotten here in January. Really absorbed the program and done a nice job.
Shane Trapuka with the punt there. Christian Kirk with the fair catch. So Maroon will take back over at the 36-yard line after a 33-yard punt.
We were talking, Coach, about the running back situation with Trey Carson. Last year being basically the primary ball carrier. You may do it running back by committee this year with White, Ford, Williams, that way maybe even Bussey, as many as 5 deep. A lot of depth at that position.
Yeah, and Bussey's got some real work today and has looked good. He had that knee injury, but he looked strong today. We haven't seen Keith Ford. We're holding him out. He's got an ankle injury, but Keith is a different back, probably 220-some pound guy that can really bring it to the line of scrimmage. So we've got some depth there, and we got to be able to utilize it, and that's why you see some different blocking schemes and different blocking surfaces.
Connor McQueen getting it out to Damian Radley, and These receivers, Coach, too, have been going down this depth chart. You have got a lot of receivers catching footballs.
I don't know. I got somebody talking in here.
It's all right. Just mentioning how many receivers you have going getting footballs. You've got a lot of them, and a lot of them are going to see action, aren't they?
Yeah. We got to be able to, with our tempo, have really 8 guys that will play 8 during the game. When you're talking about playing, 80, 90 snaps a game, we got to be able to roll 8 to keep these guys fresh and utilize their speed. And we've gotten a little bigger on the perimeter than we've been, with some 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" guys. But we've got to be able to keep that speed on the perimeter to be successful and threaten folks in the run game too.
I thought you told us you were going to be vanilla today, and then you pull out that trick play with Christian Kirk on a speed sweep. He plants in the ground, throws a touchdown pass to Speedy.
Yeah, well, I think here's what I think happened. We had an agreement of what we were going to do, being base and then being in plays. But you know how coaches are; they have their own
little competition.
Yeah,
huh?
they wait for the head coach to leave, and then the defensive coordinator and I've also seen a couple blitzes that we had agreed not to run either. So guys have pride, and and they got to utilize. They all want to win.
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate your time. I'll let you check in on David Darley there.
Okay. Thank you.
Have fun the rest of the day, Coach. Want to thank Coach for joining us. We'll be back with more on the Maroon and White Game.
SEC Network Spring Football is presented by Regions Bank, proud to be the official bank of the SEC, and in part by AT&T, mobilizing your world, and Auto Owners Insurance, safe, sound, secure for 100 years. Find your local independent agent at AutoOwners.com.
Ring Day was the other day here on campus. Another one of the great moments in the life of any Aggie, and one of the great traditions here. And this campus was a soup yesterday when we were here. 60,000 students at Texas A&M, and the seniors getting their rings. So it's a big moment for them and a big moment for the Aggie football team. Just moments ago, we just saw this, and Kwame Etwe taking it in for the score.
Talk about making up for a mistake. He hadn't come in since the fumble he had earlier, and then that's the first handoff, and he takes it to the house, 31 yards.
Again, success in running the football. We're 66th in the nation last year in rushing yards per game, and 169 yards. You know that Noel Mazzoni wants more than that in every single game, and so they've certainly had some success today, and I'm sure that's making the coaches very happy on the offensive side of the ball. Send it back down to Casey Smith. Casey?
Well, guys, I just talked to new offensive line coach Jim Turner about what he just saw on that touchdown play, and he said, I really liked that. I said, are you happy with what your guys have been doing? He said, yeah, I'm all right. There's still some work to do, but I really liked what I just saw.
Coaches aren't ever satisfied, are they? Noel Mazzoni lobbying to go for 2 earlier. Line coach talking about room for improvement. I think they're off to a good start. A nice end to the spring for Texas A&M.
You know, on Friday, they had their Friday Night Lights scrimmage a week ago Friday, and they were having trouble running the football. They certainly have not had trouble running the football today. It seems to me to have been a little easier than you would expect.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, there were questions about the offensive line coming in. I think they're going to be solid there. At least today they have been against a front that could test you every day in practice. That's why I think the development of those 5 up front have come on so quickly. And then running the football, they've done a nice job.
Kima Siverand with the catch the last play, and this time Trevor Knight can't seem to hook up with Kendall Bussey.
Pretty good pressure by Cunningham off the edge.
The receivers just keep coming at you in waves on this team. Jamal Jeffrey in the game now. We mentioned the fact that Kima Siverand is in.
Yeah. We talked about as well the strengths of this team, wide receiver and defensive line. There's a lot of depth in both areas.
That beautiful catch that time. You talk about back shoulder, went back shoulder that time and got the completion.
Man, Trevor Knight is impressive.
Josh Motley with the 19-yard reception. Take another look.
Welcome to College Station, Trevor Knight.
This time fires it out to 83. Kyle Whitley with the catch. Use another look at that pass.
Left hash throwing a fade route to the right hash, throwing a fade to the left side of the field. Just pinpoint accuracy with the football.
Bussey with the carry, breaking a couple of tackles right side, takes it for 9 yards.
How you keep all these guys happy? Bussey, Etwee, Ford, White, Williams. They want to run the football. They've got 5 that they could certainly do it with. And each one gives you a little variation. Two power backs of White and Ford, and a home run hitter in Williams. Bussey seems to have a nice motor as well. And Etwee, he's as solid as anyone. He'd start for a lot of teams around the country.
Final minute here from College Station as we wrap up this maroon and white game. Trevor Knight out of the pocket, going to scramble, going to get about 6 yards. Here's the upcoming schedule for Texas A&M. Again, they play a Pac-12 team right off the bat. Last year was Arizona State. This year it's UCLA, September 3rd. And then look, at Auburn, Arkansas, at Jerry World, at South Carolina, and Tennessee, all before they got to go to Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I think it's the toughest schedule in the 5 years that Kevin Sumlin's been the head coach here. I really do. You talk about opening up with UCLA and then Prairie View, but then you get right into a murder's row part of the schedule at Auburn, Arkansas, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Alabama. That's going to tell you a lot about the season that this A&M Aggie football team is going to have, because between week 3 and 6, it is tough.
And as the game is winding down here.
Actually, it's week 3 and week 7.
Yeah,
and I can't forget Tuscaloosa.
Week 1. Daniel LaCamera attempting a field goal at the end of the game, and it's going to sail wide to right. No good. From 43 yards out. The 3 points, though, still gives Maroon the winning margin as they wrap this up. Coming up next here, it's college baseball as Arkansas takes on Ole Miss. For Andre Ware and Casey Smith, I'm Chris Conner. Thanks for watching, everyone. We hope you have enjoyed the Maroon and White game.